Remember, this illegitimate regime, their judgment day is on 8 November when the Biden administration ends. I want to thank you all for coming. Thanks.
So that was how Steve Bannon's day began, with people yelling fascist and traitor at him. And it really only got worse from there, because there were consequences in America in 2022 for someone who did bad things and knew they were bad when he was doing them. What? No, that's what it says in my document here. He apparently was sentenced to 4 months in prison earlier today for 2 counts of contempt to Congress, after he repeatedly, in the words of the Daily Beast, fobbed off subpoenas to testify and provide documents to the January 6th commission. So he was warned about this. He knew the potential legal ramifications, and he decided that he was going to make a statement by refusing to comply. Now, bearing in mind that he could have done what any number of different Trump circle goons and henchmen did, and just go in and refuse to answer any of the actual questions and just take the fifth literally hundreds of times. He could have done that, he chose not to. So now he potentially is facing these 4 months in prison. He is appealing, of course, and he will remain free during that appeal process, which I'm not a lawyer or anything, but this being America and him being powerful, I'm gonna assume is gonna take 4 years, I don't know. He's also fined $6,500, which he will have to pay. Sorry, not him. Random people who view his show will willingly throw their limited funds at him, and then he'll transfer that to the government, I guess. He's not gonna lose anything. Anyway, we'll have more on what the judge had to say, but Jessica, are you surprised? What do you think about this 4-month sentence?
Not surprising, right? Because the minimum sentence for something like this is 1 month, a $6,500 fine. We know Bannon's got plenty of money. Many of those dollars came from Donald Trump supporters with the intention of it going towards, right, building the wall. What's interesting though is like the beef between Trump's lawyer and Bannon's lawyer. Bannon's lawyer is saying Trump's lawyer is nothing but a thug. He's a really bad guy. So there's so many layers to this. But Bannon's really just bold and arrogant. The fact that he didn't just take the fifth like Roger Stone was doing is insane. So yeah, he's getting what he deserves, but maybe he deserves a little bit more.
Maybe we should definitely debate that. I don't know a ton about their lawyers, although I know one was the same lawyer that represented Trump in I'm gonna say his second impeachment. But the claim being made even by someone I generally disagree with, that the person is a thug, I would assume that's probably why either Steve Bannon and or Trump would have chosen these people, not for their upstanding ethics or legal training or whatever. Anyway, prosecutors had asked the DC federal court judge, this is Carl Nichols, who you'll be hearing a lot about on Truth Social in the next few minutes, I'm sure, to toss Bannon in prison for half a year, calling it a sustained bad faith contempt of Congress, which exacerbated the assault on the Capitol. They said the defendant has expressed no remorse for his conduct and attacked others at every turn. Bannon's own lawyer agreed he hasn't expressed remorse and was yet to show any intention to comply with the subpoena. So these sorts of sentences can be a punishment for not complying, but it can also be an incentive to comply in the future. They're assuring everyone involved in this process that it is not gonna work for the latter part. And to the exacerbation of the problem and not showing remorse, I don't know, I mean, like right before he walked into the courtroom to hear his sentence, he was saying that the election was stolen, and if and when the next coup begins, assuming that he's a free man once again, he's definitely gonna be an active participant. Probably not on the front lines, he'd go down in one punch, but he'll be definitely podcasting about it as it happens. So no, I don't expect remorse. He's not gonna learn a lesson. No one will. And while I do like to see consequences for crimes being committed, especially when you know you're making the choice, I'm not going in, here are the consequences, and then you act surprised when you get them. At the same time, this will probably only give him more, I was gonna say street cred, but I know the rich people that he hangs out with, so I don't think it really counts for that. I guess they technically live on like boulevards or something, I don't know. Anyway, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, him saying that this is an illegitimate regime and their judgment day is November 8th when the administration ends. What? This is not a general election. This is midterms. We're not voting for a president. So it's pretty clear he's calling for another coup. And you're right, these guys are never in the streets. He's calling for this, and he will be comfortable in his podcast studio or, posting on Truth Social about it when it's going on. He's not going to be out there risking his life and risking prison time like he expects all of his followers to. But yeah, this was a threat for a coup because it's not a general election on November 8th.
Exactly. Yeah, and look, we need to understand what is going to be happening over the next few years so that we can be prepared for it. Bannon, whether his appeal succeeds or not, will be out before the 2024 election. And he will be attempting in every possible way that he can to influence candidates, to influence Trump, to influence voters, to end democracy. That's all it is. He does not believe that the Biden administration is illegitimate in a democratic sense. He believes it's illegitimate in that he doesn't like Biden. That's it. And he doesn't care about the vote or democracy or republic or the Constitution or anything like that. Like, I know people love to throw around comparisons of their current day political enemies to, despotic regimes of the past, but he is very much the sort of person that, like, no matter how, like, you can speculate and hypothesize about any potential future you want, as dark as you want it to get, something way worse than anything Margaret Atwood would come up with. You are not going to come up with a future that he would not be an active participant in. He believes that power is to be used to crush your enemies and to lift up the rich people that you hang out with. That's it. There is no end to that. He doesn't care if his opponents are being beaten in the streets, murdered, locked up. Like, he is one of the purest forms of the ideological obstacles that we have going forward as a democracy. And a couple of months in prison are not going to end that. So let's just be clear about that part.
Yeah, I'm gonna remind people of something John said not too long ago when we were doing election coverage during the primaries, which is that the demise of democracy happens very slow, right? It's the slow repeal of your rights. It doesn't feel like a big upsurgence or a coup or a bunch of people in the streets and things are on fire. But exactly what these people are doing is slowly getting us comfortable with this anti-democratic rhetoric, slowly taking over school boards, slowly appointing judges into office. And it's not gonna be this one moment where we all have to get in the streets because one big thing happened. It's exactly this, these slow moments where people like Steve Bannon are refusing to participate in the justice process and then threatening a coup, and not that many people are talking about it. This is exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that, but I like what you had to say, and I like the idea that I might have said something like it.
You did.
Anyway, by the way, we've had a couple of other people. This is very brief. We're gonna move on to the AOC thing in a sec. We've had a couple of other people that, I mean, look at the January 6th rioters who are going to prison. Doesn't it just seem very weird that Steve Bannon, for all that he did, which was very bad, and I think it's clear if you've been watching for the past few minutes, I'm not a fan of the guy, but that he's going to prison and Trump is going to eat another slice of chocolate cake, I guess. It's gonna be beautiful and he's gonna be fine because he's gonna be free. Because the more powerful you are, the more free you are to commit literally any crime you want. It's so weird. There was a bit of news going around that it was pitched as Trump's legal team is in a shambles. And the way that we know that is nobody can find anyone to serve his papers to. Do you believe that that would be true of you if you committed a crime? It's just like, we can't find the legal representative. I don't know if we're ever gonna be able to go forward with this thing. Find him and hand them to him. Like, he's not in the jungle somewhere. He's either on a golf course or Mar-a-Lago. That's where he's at. Go in and hand it to him. How is it that they get to be so free of literally every step of this process?
They have a lot of money, John. They have a lot of money and they're white guys. That's the justice system in America. Simple answer.
Yeah, I locked down one of those. I really have to get around to getting the money though, just in case. Anyway,
let's some crimes, John.
I don't know. You never know. The world's getting to a crazy place.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.